Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We need to adopt the agenda, and consent agenda is the order of business with identification of anything taken off the consent agenda for discussion and separate action. Do we have a motion and a second?
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Or say no. Then let's consider the approval of the consent agenda as it's been adopted, which includes 3 items: the minutes from February 16th, 2021 board meeting, the financial period, a report for the period of July 1st, 2020 through February 28th, 2021, and then the bills for the period of February 1st through February 28th, 2021 in the amount of $2,408,814.31. Do we have a motion and a second?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. The board and district leadership team strategic planning legislative update, Superintendent Mellon.
Yes, we met this Monday with our legislators, and in fact, Representative Grothman came in as well. So we've been having ongoing discussions, as always. At this time of year, they focus around budget and the ideas about what the biennium will be. The governor came in with his proposals, and so the legislators were responding to those a little bit, and we were asking how they stood on some of those things, like the governor proposed $250 per pupil revenue limit increase, and so the legislators seem to be more in line with the low revenue district catch-up that they've been doing in the past, and that has been affecting us positively, but they were still positive about that for this upcoming year. So it's early in the game, and it's a negotiation between the executive and the legislative branch between how that's all going to come out. But we're able to use some of those numbers because it gives us a ballpark figure for where Amy can start doing some projections with revenues for next year. Very preliminary, but we can start down that path and kind of get a gauge for where we think we might be financially for the next year. Another thing that we're advocating for is the elimination of the current school year start date on the 1st, and giving districts the ability to locally control that. There is a bill Roberta Darling has put out that allows us to do that, and so we're pro having that flexibility as a group of Sheboygan County superintendents. However, there's a strong tourist industry lobby that has the opposing view, and so that's where that discussion always kind of ends up being caught up. And we talked a little bit again, they were inquiring us about our use of the federal dollars so far from the first round of COVID relief, and kind of gauging where we were looking at the second round of COVID relief, and we gave them input about what we thought about those packages as well. So good discussions, and we always have very cordial and respectful and sometimes very in-depth discussions about the issues, and I think that's a good thing, and they keep coming back to us because they really do value our input. So I think that's a good thing, and then we'll keep doing it as long as we have those good relationships, and they're very strong right now.
Very good. I have a question about the school start date. If there's flexibility given to us, does what we do here affect the tourism areas? Or because I think as I understand it, they depend on the students to work in the tourism industry up through Labor Day. But we don't have students from this area that are working up in the tourism industry, do we?
Well, there's two parts to it. The tourist lobby says yes, there is some labor that they get from students and from younger kids, college kids, and those types of things. That's one part of it. The other part of it is their high revenue parts of their years are July and August. And they contend that if we start a week earlier, at the end of August, that if families aren't going to the Dells for that last week of August, that is one of their best weeks of the year, and so it's not as good as a week that would have been exchanged for in June. So that's their contention, that they would lose money based on the fact that families wouldn't be visiting the tourist areas, particularly the Dells, is where this comes from, and that's where the rub is.
Okay.
There's two parts to it. Yeah, I always thought it was the labor too, but we actually talked to the tourist lobby one year, and it was the whole part of their revenue was really July and August, their highest parts of their year.
Very good, thank you. As far as the per pupil stuff, it's very early. Will there come a point in time where it might be advantageous for us to communicate with legislators or ask our community to communicate with the legislators on parts of that?
It could. However, usually it kind of goes it seems like a car dealership negotiation. You know, they start at $250, the legislators start at 0, and then they end up meeting in the middle somewhere where it's, I think there are some years, and if we keep getting that low revenue bump that we've been getting these last couple of years, as long as that's in there, we'll still be
Competitive.
fine and moving forward. If there were some push to go to 0 across the board and eliminate the revenue bump, which I haven't heard, I think that would be a good time for families or us to advocate.
Okay. Very good. Any other comments or questions?
I mean, if the Sheboygan County had it their way, would we push the school year closer later in August, or later in September, or which way would we shift the school year calendar?
Well, most school people would tell you that they would like to start earlier and end earlier, because it just does a number of different things. There are educational reasons, things such as the ACT testing, or not ACT, excuse me, AP testing, because they're at a certain time in the year, so are ACT tests. If you can start early, you can get more weeks of education in prior to those high stakes tests. That's one reason. There are practical reasons like busing. Private schools they can start whenever they want, and so they mostly start at earlier dates because there are advantages to it, but we still provide that busing for them, so it's inefficient. They're running buses with the few kids that go to Lutheran High, and they got to run all those routes because they got to pick them up everywhere, but yet there are no high school kids from Sheboygan County, for the Sheboygan School District on those buses. So there's practical reasons, there are educational reasons. Almost everybody you would ask would go earlier. It shifted a week, kind of probably into August. That's what it always was when most of us went to school. I would guess all of us.
I think Milwaukee has an exemption from that start time.
So does Random Lake.
How did they get it?
You can go through a process to get an exemption, but it has to be approved by the board, and it's it is something that we could talk about at some point. And then you have to write a waiver, and then you have to be granted the waiver, and it has to be a unanimous decision by the board, by the school board at the time.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, let's see what happens with the Darling proposal. Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you, Dan. Let's go down to the academic pillar of excellence, and we need to approve the summer school courses for the 2021 summer school program, which is going to be held June 21st through July 22nd. Tracy Miller is here about that, presented at our committee of the whole meeting last week. Maybe you could share with the community what we're talking about here, Tracy.
So you do have a list of course schedule of what the courses that we're looking at offering. So We talked about the new courses last time, but just that's the whole scope of courses that we're offering. There's enrichment classes, activities classes, remedial classes, and then we'll also be doing the COVID catch-up that we talked about for kids that are struggling due to the COVID being off for COVID.
Okay. Any comments or questions? I would add that this year we will be having, we intend to have our summer school be in person. We'll also have a virtual option for some of those areas as well. So, and we will be doing protocols to mitigate the spread of the virus, but we will be in person. That's the big news, and we will be, we hope, offering swimming lessons, getting all that squared away. So that's a big one that we've missed the last couple of years.
Very good. Well, do we have a motion to approve the summer school courses?
I move we approve the summer school courses.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. And then let's go down to the number 7, which is the COVID update and revisions. Superintendent Mellon, Assistant Superintendent Dina Budrecki. If you can kind of bring our community up to date.
Yes, we continue to be in a good place, just like our county does, with our COVID numbers and hospital rates and all of those types of things. And our district is right in line with that. So again, we're in single digits for positive cases at any given time, and usually single digits for people, all individuals, adults and kids, that might be in quarantine for those reasons. So we're in good places. We've begun, as you are fully aware, we've been opening up community activities, our facilities on a regular, weekly basis almost. We're bringing back online things that we had been doing in the past. And so the big news this upcoming well, in 2 weeks, the big news is that the high school will be bringing back all of the students on a daily basis that choose in person. We will still have a virtual option there. We just won't be doing the hybrid anymore, where it's 1 day here, 1 day home. The students will be here every day and going through a 4-period day, so half of their day one day, the second half of their day the next day. And the reason for that is because it allows us to have only 5 transitions in a day, so the kids are moving less, and also those areas where they're seated, we can no longer guarantee that 6-foot distancing in all spaces, and the surfaces of desks and things we need to clean in between and everything. So there's less of that required when they're in their 4-period day moving forward. And I would note that that kind of schedule is still being considered as a start for next year, but we would have, of course, input and everything coming in from the community and from our faculty, and they're looking at, again, we're contingency planning for the future always. So if COVID is still around at the beginning of next year, and it still is an issue, this type of schedule is a good way to help mitigate some spacing issues and spread issues and the total amounts of kids that might be quarantined from a positive case in that kind of schedule. So there are options out there for us to do those types of things at the high school level. We have begun the process and we have begun it already. Because we're bringing all the kids back at the high school, the lunchroom flow is an issue because we had servers in the past. Well, now we're going to get the kids through that line faster because it's the air transmission that's more of the issue versus the handles and everything, and we're just going to keep cleaning those handles and have somebody there watching to make sure the kids are cleaning their hands in between they're serving themselves. So some changes in how kids are going through the lunch lines are coming up, and they've already begun. And we've begun planning for those milestone types of events, and hopefully bringing in the kids and parents to talk about those issues as well. Things like in-person graduation, like, believe it or not, prom, talking about how could that possibly happen, or at least some event to give kids that milestone. So we're the team at the high school, the teams at every level are working to continue to push our way back to normal behavior. And so, of course, during that whole time, we're very much focused on safety and mitigation and using the best science that we have right now. Our nurses have been indispensable in that. We consult them on everything, like the cafeteria flow issues. They're right there with us, and we're talking about how that happens. And so those are super important people for us, along with the teams at the different buildings. So anything I should add?
I think that was.
Okay.
The four class, I think they call that a block schedule. Continuing that maybe for academic, not just safety reasons. Am I correct in understanding that? Because a number of school districts have found that to be a better situation. Am I correct?
Yeah, there are pros and cons to any schedule. And so done correctly, a block schedule has some advantages to, I mean, we do have some classes that are a block schedule. Our construction class, for example, is a 2-period class because you just can't get in there and get out in 45 minutes and learn anything where you got to build something. And science classes where they have, we don't have them yet, but there are classes that really benefit from a longer period of time, especially when it's a production lab-based type of class. There are other classes that would rather have something all year long, a shorter period of time, because you don't want to lose what you just learned the day before, like a music class, for example, or maybe language, where there, if you don't have a whole semester of time between a language, you might lose some of those things. So there are pros and cons to any of them. But I would say, having been through a change like this in 2 other districts, myself, and I know that most of the districts around us have gone away from a traditional schedule and have some sort of a block schedule. Typically, this is a big deal. It takes teachers, you do it for a full year preparing for it, because you take how you used to do things and then change it and make it better and fit in so you get the advantages of that new schedule. And I just have to take my hat off to teachers this year, and if you wonder why sometimes they're so tired out, it's because last year they changed into a full virtual environment with having almost 0 experience. This year they continued the virtual environment along with an in-class environment, and at the same time at the high school level changed to a block schedule, which usually takes a year of pre-planning and curricular work and all of that. So they're doing that curricular work and that planning at night and with each other and trying to figure it out on the fly. And they're doing a monumental job. And so, yeah, there are great advantages to it, but it was a really good question led me to the fact that they've really done a fantastic job and put so much effort into this change that we've asked of them, and really kind of selflessly too.
Wow, that's great. Really good. Well, thank you. Nothing for us to approve there. We appreciate the update, though. Any other questions or comments? Let's go down to Finance, Buildings, and Grounds. There's the proposal for a roof project at Riverview Middle School. And is that in Amy's department?
Yep, we went out to bid for this project. We received 2 bids, which you received in your packet. One from Kashak Roofing and one from Northern Metal and Roofing. After looking through the bids and the proposals, Richard Niehauser and I are suggesting that we accept the bid from Kashak Roofing. They were the lowest cost bid, but in addition to that, they were able to add in the Decra shingles upgrade in lieu of asphalt shingles, which to my understanding is metal. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then they also have the alternative bid of installing plywood sheathing, channel trim, metal wall panels in lieu of tuck pointing, which according to Richard is important with the project, because I guess there's a lot of areas that that need work. So, yeah, we would request Kashak Roofing as our contractor.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve Kashak Roofing?
Make a motion that we approve it.
Second?
Seems to me to make sense. So, all
Yep,
in-
and it gives us some room to stay within our budget, so.
yeah. All in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you very much. Good work, Amy.
Thank you.
That-
Amy, where is this company out of, do you know?
Well, let's see. Milwaukee.
Oh,
I guess they've done some work for us in the past.
okay. I don't remember hearing or seeing the name before.
I don't either.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the approval of the first reading of the Neola policy updates. And we took a look at that stuff in the committee of the whole meeting last week. So there's two choices we have to make. Number one is, do we want to approve a waiver of the reading of the policies? And the second is, do we want to then approve the policies for the first time? And if we approve that this month, then we'll come back again a second month, and then they'll be in force. So I guess we would entertain a motion to waive the reading of the policies.
I move we waive the reading of policies.
Second?
We have a motion and second. All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. And the next is to approve the first look at the Neola policy updates. Do we have a motion and a second?
Make a motion that we approve the first reading of the policies.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. The period of public participation, I don't believe we have anybody that's signed in for that. So we'll go down to our board liaison reports. And under community ed, or Sally, what's going on in community ed?
Community Ed is very active. They have a lot of classes. This spring, they're offering a variety of classes, and the registration will start tomorrow at 9 a.m. Otherwise, they can sign up online or do it through the mail. One of the new classes is seed starting kit that you can take home and grow things at home. Also, the fitness classes are always there, and if you've not done them before, you actually can sample 3 of them on Saturday, April 3rd. Otherwise, for the rest of March, you can try them for free. Water exercises are available, and so is walking is available. Just contact Community Ed, because you do, even for walking, you have to sign up for a slot, because they don't want it to be overcrowded. Any questions?
Sally, that's an excellent part of our school system. One of our partner foundation, Bob is not here. Dan, is there anything to share with us about the foundation?
Yeah, we did have a foundation board meeting, which I sit in on, and so they are heavy right now into the scholarship portion of their work. The PEF does a great job giving scholarships to kids, and so they are going through those applications and that work, and ultimately that'll turn into money for kids moving into different post-secondary activities. Also, there's been a lot of activity in the grant world, that they provide grants to educators for innovative ideas in the classroom. And so I don't know the total number, but the requests for grants have been coming in much more quickly than they had in the past. Dina had been doing a little drumming up business around the district and asking for innovative ideas, and they're out there. Just sometimes you got to ask them specifically, and then the teachers apply. So lots of really good ideas.
I think this week alone, maybe 4 were approved. So the last few weeks, we've had just quite a few coming through, and the foundation does a really nice job of turning it over very quickly. So as soon as it's handed in within a few days, they have feedback and are either accepted or rejected, but there have not been many rejections. So it's exciting just talking to teachers that have been receiving them and the excitement of the activities that they have to come in their classrooms.
Very good, thank you. Family Resource Center is an important partner organization. Dan, what's going on there?
Yeah, Family Resource Center gave me a few updates. The parents as teachers home visiting update. I still have 5 families that are looking to enroll in their spring and fall sessions. As far as upcoming events, they had to unfortunately cancel their breakfast with Bunny in collaboration with the Optimist Club in March. They are doing a virtual scavenger hunt and replacement for that, so look for an update there. April, they have a Let's Dance. Again, these are all virtual community connections. They're all free to any family that wants to partake of them. In May, they'll have Ready, Set, Grow. June, Dad and Me Treasure Hunt. July, Boogie Snack. Literacy Council program update. They paired 4 new students with teachers, and so they're up to 39 learning pairs now. And so that's about it with the Family Resource Center.
Very good. Thank you for your involvement with them, Dan, and we appreciate the work that they're doing in education here in our community. Personnel, we have some changes to consider. Dan?
Yes, this is that time of the year when people are making those difficult decisions about retirement, and so we have a number of people that I'll be announcing today that are retiring, a lot of years of experience, but they're moving into a new stage of life, so that's wonderful for them. So I'll just go through all of those, and you can approve all of them at the end. So the first one we have is consider the approval of the retirement request from Dan Lamb. He's a social studies teacher at Plymouth High School. To be effective at the end of this school year. Dan has been with the school district for 20 years. That was a typo on that one. The next one is consider the approval of the retirement request for Tom Armstrong. He's also a social studies teacher at Plymouth High School. Effective at the end of this year. Tom's been with the school district for 28 years. The board will consider approval of the retirement request from Lisa Grimes, a 4K teacher at Horizon Elementary, effective at the end of this school year. Lisa has been with the school district for 23 years. Next, consider the resignation for Natasha Gettle, 4th grade teacher at Parkview Elementary School, effective the end of this year. Natasha's been with the district for 4 years. And then consider the resignation of Joe Canistra, science teacher at Plymouth High School, effective at the end of this school year. Joe's been with the district for 2 years. And then consider the resignation for Nancy Zipperer, speech and language pathologist at Horizon Elementary, effective the end of this school year. Nancy's been with the district for 24 years. Those are all of our retirements and resignations.
A lot of years tied up in some of them. Mm-hmm. Do we have a motion to approve the resignations and retirements?
Make a motion to approve the retirements and resignations.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. And then we have a support staff update.
Yes, we have one support staff person, Melanie Hunt. Special education aide at Fairview has submitted her resignation, and Melanie has been with the district for 2 years. We don't need action on that.
Thank you very much. Nothing on the consent agenda, so I'll share my president's report. There's 2 things I'd like to talk about today. The first is what board members say behind closed doors. Something that got a lot of press was a school board out in California that thought they were offline, and they began to talk in very disrespectful and unprofessional ways. And it may cause people to say, wow, is that the way school boards function and operate? And I would need to say, not this one. That we consider parents, whether we like how the information comes to us or not, as partners in this. In fact, our role is to be a representative of our community. And so it comes with the territory that we're going to receive information, suggestions, ideas, and thoughts that need to be given full consideration, whether it's our personal opinion or not. And so I can just tell you that it doesn't happen in this school district. And I say that when we as a government body, we have to do our business in front of the public. We're forbidden, except for some very specific things that need to happen, and we have to follow the guidelines of what those specific things are. And then when we meet behind a closed door, we can't just go off script. We have to stick to the purposes that was designed or that was stated in the agenda, why we were meeting in a closed session, and so we can't go off and say, just start throwing other ideas around. It's very important that for the reason of us doing our work as much as possible in the public. So what I'd like to say to our community is we value the partnership, and we recognize our role as a school board. And again, do things get frustrating? Sometimes the reality is things do get frustrating. That's just the nature of the work of education and all that happens. And yet, at the same time, we're professionals. This is a professional organization, and we're going to respond appropriately. So I wanted to say that. Another area that I want to talk about briefly is during this open enrollment season, one of the things that this school district values is innovation and collaboration. About a month ago, in fact, a month ago yesterday, Jamie Pointkowski, our communications director, put an excellent article into the weekly newsletter that talked about some of those areas. And this has been a long-standing value in our school district, going way back to 11 years ago. We were the first one in our area to do what they call one-to-one technology, getting a device for each student. And it was probably, I think you were working in the technology area at the time, Dina, you're still probably one of the things that you worked on. And going back then, another area that we've kind of pioneered is we're the first in the state to have our own in-house master's program in collaboration with UW Green Bay. We have 47 of our educators here in the Plymouth School District that have achieved an advanced degree as a result of that, because we liked what UW Green Bay could do. They liked what we could do, and so we can provide a master's degree that is a Plymouthized master's degree, and that's a result of innovation and collaboration. And then our Food Science and Agriculture Center and our LTC Science and Technology Center are good examples of all of that coming together from businesses and colleges and community organizations to, I liked what Jamie said, to create visionary solutions. And we're about that as a school district. Visionary solutions. When we encounter something that we say, how could it possibly be, or could it possibly be, we want to be out there looking to the future. So if you're considering where to send your kids to school, that's in and through us as some other valuable things are. And your child would have an opportunity to be involved in that with some visionary solutions through collaboration and through, I think, our micro grants that Dina Budrecker was just talking about, you were talking about, is a good example of that. A teacher that says, gee, if I had this type of thing, or if we could try this type of thing, it's about innovation, finding ways to deal with what's coming. So Plymouth School District values that highly and leads the way in that, and is a reason that you might want your children to be involved in our school district. So that's my president's report. Dan, you have a superintendent report?
Thank you, Rich. I feel like I should applaud now. Hear, hear. Yeah, mine kind of piggybacks along with yours, like somehow it always does. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about something that inspired me by some of the innovation that our students do through the course of their time with us, starting in small classes, through their 12 years with caring educators, with very comprehensive opportunities as they move through our system. Young people can produce amazing things. A lot of times we don't give children and young people the credit for how capable and amazing they really are. It hit me one time. I was watching, I think it was Apollo 13, the movie, and then I went back, I was reading about it a little bit more and trying to get the truth, the whole story about it. And an amazing fact about that time was that was the 13th launch of that mission, so it was a period of time already. And at that time, on that mission, the average age in the control room for that mission was 28.
Wow.
And so you think, high school kid is 18, this group of people launched and brought back through all the terrible stuff that they went through. They were 28 years old, the average age. That was amazing. And it came back and hit me again this week, or a week ago, because I went Parkview. I knew that Parkview was building the secret garden. And so it's right in the front there, and it's a little space, it's a little cubby where the offices kind of bump into the new part, and you got the old part it's a nice little square is what it is. And they thought a garden here would be beautiful. And so our high school tech ed group put together a beautiful little wooden couple of structures and some just fabulous looking metalwork that they cut and ground and added a patina to, and it's just beautiful. I don't know if any of you have gone past it or gotten a chance to look at it. I was up there and I was touching it. It was just so wonderfully done, and that's why I was thinking about the wonderful things that kids can do. And then I thought back again about, how beautiful our building, the high school, and our offices looked over the course of the winter, because we had those the planters out in front. Were full of beautiful decorations, of boughs and some, I don't know what they all are. They were very pretty, beautiful vegetation in there. And that's done by our kids as well. Those are our ag and our 4-H kids. And right now, we're going to be having our musicals both in the middle school and the high school. And the high school is going to be a virtual musical. And, but 2 years ago, before this, nobody would have thought about doing that. But these kids have adjusted and have learned those parts and have figured out how to put things together on a virtual format. It's just amazing how capable and advanced a group of young people can be. And our teachers do a wonderful job getting them there. And I think if you send your children to this school district, they're going to have 12 years of multiple experiences, from little caring classrooms all the way up to putting patina on a computer-controlled, plasma-cut piece of metal that beautifies one of our elementary schools for years and years and years to come. So it's a wonderful place to be, and I just think that our kids and teachers are amazing. So that's my thought.
Very good, thank you.
I do have some accomplishments that I'd like to just mention, and then a couple of upcoming events. I mentioned a couple seconds ago that the musical cast at the high school will be doing music from productions that Plymouth typically doesn't choose from. There are 5 group numbers and around 35 different solos. And so it's going to be kind of a montage of different musical events or musical theater, and it will be virtual. And it's going to, from what I've seen, I've snuck in and looked a little bit, it's going to be really great. And it's going to be on YouTube, and it'll be out, and again, not a nice thing about COVID, but a byproduct of COVID. All of these events are on our YouTube channels, and parents and grandparents can watch them wherever they are, and they can watch them over and over again, and they can see them a week later if they're not there. So pretty great, and that's thanks again to our tech team here in the district. They do a wonderful job, led by Kurt Zoll. And then our forensics has been regularly competing virtually again. Several students have placed and earned awards in these tournaments. Chris Kramer, Lillian Krieger, Ava Strussner, Maria Stemper, Molly Trepanier, Nora Yeager, Emma Weinenveen, and Kirian Kramer have all placed. So congratulations to them. Wrestling is the only activity currently going right now in the district at the middle school, because this is that gap time now where other schools that didn't play fall sports are actually playing fall sports. So right now there's some soccer and football and volleyball going on in some of the districts. Wrestling numbers are up at the middle school, and participation is going well. They've already had a couple meets. There's also a musical at the middle school, and they're going to be doing Schoolhouse Rock, which I used to love as a kid. The 16th, 17th, and 18th of April are the dates for that. And another great accomplishment at the, I'll just kind of read what this was, from the middle school. This year, the 8th grade students on one of the teams in the middle school did a project called National History Day. This is a national program in which each year more than 500,000 students participate. We participated in the beginning of December, and the students then began the process by choosing a historical topic related to an annual theme. They chose communication in history. They then conducted primary and secondary research to create a project in one of the 5 categories of the presentation. Once the students' projects were completed, the teachers were able to pick the top projects in each category, and they sent them to the Northeast Wisconsin Regional competition. This year it was virtual. It's kind of the theme of everything. The students' projects then went to a team of highly qualified judges to compete against projects from other schools in Northeast Wisconsin. The top 3 projects from each category were picked to move on to the Wisconsin State competition, and from there the top will be picked to represent Wisconsin at the National History Day competition in Washington, D.C. They're happy to report that out of the 18 junior division, that's middle school, projects sent this year to the Wisconsin State competition from our Northeast region, out of the 18, 7 of those will be coming from Riverview Middle School. So our one little middle school here in all of Northeast Wisconsin took up nearly half of the winning positions heading to state. So congratulations to them. And so as they get further along in this process, maybe we'll have more news, and maybe we'll be even sending somebody off to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Some upcoming events. Spring sports begin April 18th. And this year, because they start late, they go late. So they're going to go all the way at the high school into the middle of June or the end of June. So they're quite late. Spring break is the other big thing that's coming up. It's coming up at the end of next week. So that's the big events coming up. Other than that, that's all I have for my report.
Very good. Thank you very much. That concludes our agenda. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much.